Okay, Jamal Bryant. And here's the problem with Jamal Bryant. He's making me realize how bald I actually am. I'm sorry. I've been a little insecure lately. I'm trying to brush it back like my hairline's going to come back magically, but I don't know if that's going to happen. I need to ask God why he took my hairline because I don't even know what I did, bro. But that's besides the point. Y'all don't care about that. Jamal Bryant confesses real reason why he cheated on his ex-wife to Ryan and Tyshawn. Now, I have zero background about this story. I have zero, I don't know. The only thing that I do know is that people were talking about how he got married to this pastor who I think they were saying she had like plastic surgery or I don't know what people were talking about. But I saw the story and I was like, I'm not going to talk about that. But I do want to hear the reason why he says that he cheated. I am very interested in hearing what he has to say. All right, let's get into it.
I want to say I am divorced because I cheated. I divorced because of my infidelity, not because of irreconcilable differences, but because I broke that covenant. And so I had to go through a healing process for myself on what is it that was in me that would go outside of the bounds of my covenant, my agreement, and to risk my family for somebody I never wanted to be with. Yeah. So I say to men all the time, one of the mistakes I made is my first attempt.
Hold on. I have it sped up. Let me slow it down because he's a very slick talker. And I just want to make sure I'm hearing exactly what he's saying so I can give my actual response.
I am divorced because I cheated. I divorced because of my infidelity, not because of irreconcilable differences, but because I broke that covenant. And so I had to go through a healing process for myself on what is it that was in me that would go outside of the bounds of my covenant, my agreement, and to risk my family for somebody I never wanted to be with. Yeah. So I say to men all the time, one of the mistakes I made is my first attempt at monogamy was marriage.
What does that mean?
You know what? No, I know. No,
break that one down.
I know where you're
for
going.
me.
I think I know where you're going with it because we'll even have we got friends that have gotten married, but they've been a player for all their entire life,
their whole
lives, and they think that hey, when I get married, it's all gonna change.
Yeah, no. So I think that you have to practice.
So you gotta practice monogamy.
Yes. It ain't gonna come through osmosis.
That's so interesting because I don't know if that's something that I've really ever heard said that way prior because it's like a conditioning into that lifestyle because it's a whole mindset. It's a philosophy almost, if you will.
Yes.
Of being
I'll keep it real, bro. A lot of dudes, and I've never been in this category, but a lot of dudes, and I'm not trying to make it seem like I'm better than anybody, but I genuinely have never been in this category. A lot of dudes, they just have like a roster of women, right? And they just run through women. And this is their lifestyle. And, ultimately, y'all got to grow up. Like, I see what he's saying in terms of he's never been in a committed relationship before he got married. But you said those vows. You made a covenant before God. And you knew that the temptation was not magically going to stop. If anything, you should have expected that the temptation was going to increase because you entered into this covenant. And because you're in the position of being a pastor, you should have known that the temptation was going to increase. So, and I get it. Nobody's perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. I make mistakes. But to say that we need to be conditioned and that we need to be trained in order to not cheat on our wives, y'all just got to grow up. Like, when you get married, it's going to be challenging. You're still going to have those temptations. It's still going to be in you, but what are you going to do with it? Are you going to give in to those temptations, knowing that you made a covenant before God? Or are you going to take those to God and ask him to help you, ask him to cleanse your heart, ask him to reveal inside of you what is unclean, and ask him to help you fix that? I'm not really rocking with that so far, but let's see where it goes.
Able to prep yourself to now have this new value system.
Yes.
And even a way to tame your urges.
Yes.
You know, biologically of your body.
Yeah. So I'm not even giving out memberships to the Players Club. Let's just say hypothetically. No, seriously. Let's say hypothetically, you're dealing with 2 women in a month. Let's in law.
You said these are all drama related topics. We're talking about temptation. We're talking about denying ourselves. We're talking about lust. We're talking about remaining faithful in marriage. These are real topics that men and women have to go through in life, especially as Christians. So whatever you want to say in terms of this being drama or not, there's real values and there's real lessons that we can learn in this topic. So if it ain't for you, bro, then go ahead and click off. I ain't tripping. It's all good.
The 10. You're dealing with 3 women in a month.
Okay.
Let's say you live in Atlanta.
Okay.
It's 4 women in a month. Hypothetical.
Right.
Those numbers can go up quick.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not advocating for this. This is not what I'm saying.
It happened. Yeah.
I'm saying, let's say you with 4 women in a month, and that's the regimen you on.
Yeah.
It's natural. That's what you do.
Yeah.
You don't have no guilt about it. You don't have no conscience. None of them think that you committed. You with 4 a month. That 4th one, you decide, let me lock this down. You have not purged out your system of the 3. And the danger that we have is that we have compartmentalized our sexuality to have sex without intimacy. So we have so reduced the standard for ourselves that you can sleep with 4 people and feel nothing for any of them.
True.
He said that. Put the switch up.
But I think at some point, and I don't know any other way to say this, so I'm just going to say it. I think at some point, you start to realize that sexual fulfillment that you're seeking, I don't know if I could say that. I think at some point you got to understand that you have an addiction. That's the nicer way. That's the nicer way of saying it. At some point you got to realize that you have a problem, that you're addicted to lust, that you're addicted to sex. At some point you got to realize that, because there's a reason why you married your wife. There's a reason why you married your spouse, and it wasn't solely because of sex. It wasn't solely because of that. So when you're choosing to step out on your marriage because of attraction, because of lust, you got to understand what you're compromising. You got to understand what you're giving up. You completely lost sight of why you married that person in the first place, and you just gave in to your desires. And I get it, we're humans, but from a pastor standpoint, I think we have to be more vigilant. This is a pastor speaking. We have to be more vigilant of the tactics of the enemy. You know this is going to come around, dog. You know it's going to come around. And this is why it's so dangerous to live in this lifestyle of lust and live in this lifestyle of having sex just willy-nilly before marriage. I don't even say willy-nilly, but under pressure, I'd be saying some wild stuff. But this is why you can't be out here just throwing it around and just giving it up to everybody. Because then you create these strongholds within yourself. You create these addictions. You grow this desire for sin, and it doesn't magically go away just because you got married. It gets more difficult. I wanted to say something else, something crazier, but I don't want to say it because we're live. Normally I'm not live, so like I could say something and then I could think about it, and then, you know, potentially if I need to make an adjustment, I can. Not saying I always do, but let's just keep it real. Not everything that we say, not everything that comes out of my mouth is edifying, is beneficial. So I'm trying to self-edit in real time.
Put that on here. Yeah. And so when we get to a dangerous place in our own ecosystem of our sexuality and the sanctity of that which is sacred, and we as men no longer value sexuality, then our defense is, oh, they didn't mean nothing.
That is so true.
At this point, I've embraced that, and that's just what you hear, that men can have sex without
It's our
emotion.
nature.
Yeah, that is our nature.
Yeah, and I think that it's a cop-out because the woman who we are intimate with can understand that you're doing the exact same thing with me, with the person who you say you don't care about. So it's different as, oh, we just went to the movies. Oh, I just took them to Cheesecake Factory. No, they stayed at your house. They was in your shower. They wore your T-shirt. What then have you reserved sacred for me?
Man, I hear it all the time. I remember we had guests come on here, Dr. Nicole and Crystal, and they made a statement. They said, you got to learn how to change your appetite.
Yes.
And I think you just really brought that glue there to, like, you just tied it all together, because when I'm thinking about it, it makes sense, because if your body is conditioned to even having a certain amount of meals a day,
Yes.
eating certain types of food,
Yes.
and all of a sudden you tell your body, I'm a cold turkey switch to now this type of diet, and you have not practiced that diet, you have not conditioned yourself into really slowly weaning in
I'm
to
going to
this
see your point and raise your point. If, as a single man, 5 nights a week, you are getting food from DriveThru, you don't know how to appreciate a home-cooked meal because you're used to now eating out of a bag. So you got somebody who's cooking for you at home. Your knee reflex is, why? You don't want to go out? Because you have adopted French fries and don't understand that mashed potatoes is a better choice. But because my palate is used to packets of ketchup, I don't know what Worcestershire sauce is. You got
Right.
Yeah, so you got to change your whole mind frame, your whole thought process of how I deal with all of it. The most
You said, bro, just say it. Dog, you don't understand. You don't understand. Like, you don't understand. I got to tell myself to chill out. I can't just be saying everything that comes across my mind. I'm sorry. I can't. Look, I'm kind of done with it. I'm kind of done with it. You know what I think too? We have to be very careful because there's so much sexual marketing in everything. It's like we've been so desensitized to sex that if I just open up like And mind you, I'm very intentional with my scrolling and what I like and what I view on social media, because I understand the more that you view something, the more that you engage with something on social media, the more the algorithm is going to serve it to you. But it's crazy, like there's so many there's just so much temptation all around us in everything that we do. So you really have to be careful, and you really have to be honest and real with yourself if you need help. And if you need help, then stop putting yourself in those situations to fall. If you need help, go talk to somebody. Go talk to a Christian therapist. Even better, go to God. Repent. Lay out your sins. Confess it to Him. Ask Him to help you. But man, don't put people through this. Don't put your family through it. Don't put your spouse through it. These things affect way more people than just you. And especially when you're a pastor, when you have so many eyeballs looking at you, when you have a platform, the effects of your sin, the effects of your mistakes, it has a much greater impact than we imagine in the moment. So that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it at that.